Buenas tardes, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros esta tarde. Welcome y'all to the Giving Tuesday Collective Giving webinar. We are so glad you're here with us. This is going to be a great time. We've got some amazing panelists. We're glad you're here. It's Giving Tuesday. We've got our good vibes flowing. It's going to be a great time, y'all. So welcome to this Global Day of Generosity for Giving Tuesday 2022. This is the second year that Impact Austin has chosen to celebrate Giving Tuesday by sharing a light on collective giving and community impact made by Texas Women's Giving Circles. So my name is Summer McAfee. I'm going to be your MC today. My day job is a lead program manager at USAA. When I'm not at work, you'll find me out in the Austin community, being an advocate for STEM, military kids, the military community, just goodness in general. I consider myself one of the community good doers, just getting out there, rolling up my sleeve, volunteering where I can. And I'm also a member of Impact Austin. So I'm so glad y'all are here today. This is going to be a great time. I'm going to highlight a couple of our panelists for you, just so you can kind of get to know a little bit about them. And then they're going to be sharing more about themselves. So you'll get to hear more about their individual stories and the work that they're doing. So first up is going to be Dr. Marsi Liddell. She's the president of the board of directors of Seeds of Strengths in Georgetown, Texas. In her professional life, Marsi served as the president of 2 colleges in Michigan and Colorado, and was the national president of the American Association of Community College Women. She is also a past president of the American Association of University Women, Georgetown. And Marsi is passionate about serving in her community and making a difference in the lives of its residents, especially women and girls. Thank you for joining us today, Marsi. Let's give her a big round of applause. I know we're so glad she's here today with us. All right, also next up is Angelle Germain. She's the president of Impact San Antonio, so just a little bit up the road on their board of directors. Professionally, she's the executive director of Sarbanes-Oxley Compliance for Valero Energy Corporation. She's a graduate of UTSA, Go Roadrunners, executive MBA program, and holds numerous professional certifications. In addition to various leadership roles within Impact San Antonio, she's also been involved within United Way, the American Diabetes Association, and the Louisiana State University's alumni chapter in San Antonio. We're glad to have you with us here today. Thanks for being here. Another round of applause, y'all. Woo! All right. And last, but of course not least, is our very own Nicole Genovese, and she is the Impact Austin's interim executive director who has been with us since 2019. Nicole has been immersed in the nonprofit world from a young age. She has a passion for women's philanthropy in particular. Nicole has been professionally fundraising for 15 plus years, starting in healthcare, science, and education focused organizations. She moved to Austin in 2016 to work with Girl Start and then Ronald McDonald House, Charities of Central Texas, before joining Impact Austin. Thank you for representing us today, Nicole. Round of applause for Nicole as well, y'all. Woo! All right. We're so glad you're here with us as well. So before we get started with the questions for the panelists, I'd like to give you a broader context for this webinar. Last year, Impact Austin launched the concept of Collective Giving Tuesday with a spotlight of 3 other giving circles. They did Impact 100 Houston and 2 affiliates of the Texas Women's Foundations, the Orchid Giving Circle and the Village Giving Circle. A link to recap that should appear in our chat here just shortly. So check out the chat, make sure you're looking at the links that are available in there. And we were only too delighted to continue this program this year. A quick bit of research suggests that we could continue this pace for years as we find more than 80 Texas giving circles listed within Philanthropy Together database. Is that not awesome, y'all? Like there's over 80 giving circles out there just in our area. That's a lot of collective impact, and we all are celebrating that. So round of applause for that, just the collective giving that's happening all across our cities and our state. That is so amazing. Also, Philanthropy Together is a global initiative that helps us foster new giving circles and strengthens existing circles. They estimate there are 2,500 plus giving circles in the US, 150,000 people in those giving circles, which is amazing. And there is collectively $1.29 billion given away in these giving circles so far. Can we just get like, woo, for $1.29 billion, y'all? Like, that is pretty exciting stuff. In 1995, 50 giving circles existed. There were 500 circles by 2010, 2,000 circles by 2020, and an estimated 3,000 giving circles will be in existence by 2025. Just amazing stuff, y'all. So much goodness happening. So with just our 3 organizations represented today, more than 4,000 members have made 340 grants totaling $15.45 million, y'all, throughout 13 Texas counties. Like, we just got to applaud that. That is just super duper amazing giving stuff that's happening by the power of us coming together. So amazing things are happening, and we're so glad you're part of this community, or that you're considering being part of the community in the future. So lots of goodness. Just to recap, a giving circle is a group of people who shared values, who come together to make a change. The circles pool together time and money and decide as a group where to give those collected funds. There are various giving circle models. The groups are all shapes and sizes and maybe focused locally, nationally, or internationally. So really, there's giving circles for all of the different causes. I'm sure you can find a home in one of these circles if you're looking to be part of that in the future. With that background, let's hear from our panelists about Impact Austin, Seeds of Strengths, and Impact San Antonio. All right, panelists, try to keep each of your questions around 3 minutes, and we're going to get started. So the first question we have for you is, please give us a brief introduction to your giving circle, how you got started and grew, where are you today, and how would you explain the sisterhood of collective giving as it pertains to your community and your membership? First up for that question is going to be Nicole, and I'll let you go ahead and get started, Nicole.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Summer. I also just want to give you a round of applause for your just like spreading this joy and generosity that we have today on Giving Tuesday. Really appreciate you emceeing today's event. Thank you so much. So a little bit about Impact Austin. So Impact Austin was founded in 2003, which means that this year we're celebrating our 20th anniversary, a really, really special time. So really shout out to all of those members that have made a difference over those 20 years. It was really founded by Rebecca Powers, who read an article in People magazine. I really love this sort of our founding. It was really just one person reading something, getting inspired by that generosity, and thinking about some of the stats that Somerset mentioned, that, you know, around that time, there were somewhere between only 50 to 500 giving circles in the country or in the world. So if you think about sort of, we were really there at the start of when this became a movement and getting involved. So Rebecca saw this article about women pooling their funds together and said, I really want to do that and make an impact in my community. That seems like something I can do. So her and 5 other women, our kitchen table 6 of our founding members, just got us started. And now we're celebrating our 20th anniversary year. Across the 20 years, Impact Austin has invested $8.26 million in Central Texas through 112 grants to 91 nonprofits in Travis, Williamson, Bastrop, and Hayes County. Those grants have been awarded in a variety of focus areas, but currently our grant focus areas are in education, community, equity, and health and well-being. We have 2 grant cycles a year, so 2 of those are awarded in the fall. We just had our celebration at Town Hall, and we'll have our next celebration at annual meeting on June 5th, and we'll really have a big 20th anniversary celebration. We hope you can join. Through that time, we've engaged 2,800 women as members. I know that our grant making is the thing that we talk about the most, and it's who we are, and so we should be doing that. But I also want us to just pause as we're thinking about celebrating Collective Giving Tuesday, about the power of that number of 2,800 women that have come together for a common passion and a common cause to give back to their community. When I think about the sisterhood of collective giving, I really think about that number of women philanthropists, you know, even more so sometimes than I think about that number of grants awarded. Just thinking about those women coming together, thinking about how they could solve problems, especially being a volunteer-powered organization, all of that thousands of hours that our members are putting back into the community as a part of Impact Austin, and also for the other nonprofits that we serve. So that's kind of, I know we're going to get into some of the other details, but that's sort of the quick overview about Impact Austin. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Marsi next to talk about Seeds of Strength.
Good morning, good afternoon. This is Marsi Liddell with Seeds of Strength. And thank you for Impact Austin for inviting us to share this time with you. We really appreciate it. So Seeds of Strength is a very young organization. It started in 2009 with a handful of 10 to 12 women who got together and decided they wanted to make a difference. And they certainly have. They decided that they were going to name their giving circle Seeds of Strength, with the analogy that if you plant a small seed, it will continue to grow and grow and grow. And Seeds of Strength has done just that. Right now, even though Georgetown is a lot smaller than Austin, we're told that it's one of the fastest growing communities of its size in the country. So we're very pleased about that. And we have this year 244 members strong. And we're hoping over the course of this year to move that to 300. So over the course of all of the years, 13 of them, Seeds of Strength has managed to give out 118 grants to different organizations. We are going to go this year over the $2 million mark, which is a tribute to all of the women who have served and become members of Seeds of Strength. The sisterhood of collective giving is really interesting to me because it really speaks to the meaning of collective giving. And I've actually talked to some of our grantees about that and said, you know, is it significantly more important or impactful for you to get collective giving or just plain ordinary everyday donations that are given by very generous people? And they said, well, we accept both of them, of course, and we are enjoying the benefits of both kinds of giving. However, the collective giving that you are able to do through Seeds of Strength really can help us by expanding the opportunities that we can give to our community. I know I joined Seeds of Strength in 2018 on an invite from a colleague and a friend, and became part of the grants committee, which is really one of the workhorses of Seeds of Strength. And I was absolutely fascinated by how many different organizations there are in the Georgetown area that serve to improve the conditions within Williamson County and particularly in Georgetown. So this year I serve as the president, and just wanted to say thank you so much to all of our members, and certainly to Impact Austin, who was kind of our shepherd and explained to us how Impact Austin worked. And Seeds of Strength is certainly based on that, and thankful to our other sisterhood in Impact Austin. So I think at this point, then I will go ahead and turn this over to who? To Angelle?
Angelle, I'll take it next.
Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having us here. I am so happy to represent Impact San Antonio. So just to give you a little background, Impact San Antonio was started in 2004 by Kelly Hutchinson with just 25 women, and they were following the Impact 100 model, where each membership donated $1,000. And the goal was to eventually be able to award a $100,000 grant in each of our 5 focus areas. And that is arts and culture, education, environment, recreation and preservation, family, and health and wellness. Now, fortunately, we were able to finally achieve that goal in 2018. And over the past 18 years of existence, Impact San Antonio has been able to award over $5.3 million in grants to area nonprofits. For 2022, we have had 706 women and 2 non-voting contributors donate $555,000 that went into our grant pool. And we recently had grant award night where we were able to award 5 $100,000 grants in each of our 5 focus areas, and another support grant in each of those areas, an $11,000 support grant. So we were very excited to achieve that goal. We are an all volunteer organization, and we say that membership is on your own terms. And so that means you can simply donate and vote on which agency should receive the high impact grant, or you can also get more involved by volunteering as a grant reviewer to help narrow down to our finalists, or as a grant liaison to assist those agencies once they've received the grants, or also as a membership volunteer to help spread the word of Impact San Antonio and grow our membership to enable us to cultivate an even more vibrant community together. Similar to the other areas, we're an organization that focuses on Bexar County and the surrounding counties. So we have been fortunate to have agencies in all this area, the areas surrounding San Antonio. And I will say I agree with Marsi when she said it really is a wonderful opportunity to learn about the needs of the community and the wonderful agencies that are serving the community. So serving as a grant reviewer is something I've done from the beginning of being a member of Impact San Antonio, which is almost 8 years. And I have enjoyed it so much and have learned so much from it. So I have nothing but great things to say from that perspective.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, ladies. This is exciting. I mean, to hear all of the stories about the impact collectively that's happening in our local communities is so awesome. So next question that we've got for you is, how can collective giving inspire women to give above and beyond in their personal philanthropy? And Angelle, I'm going to send this one over to you first. So I'll let you kick us off on this question.
Sure will. So it's funny, I had dinner with some board members last night. We were doing some planning for next year, and one of them brought up a story, just really talking about, she had made a thank you call to a member who had renewed, and as part of the conversation, the woman had noted that she always wanted to be a philanthropist, but the life circumstances didn't really enable her to do that on her own. However, by being a member of Impact San Antonio, she was able to be a part of a group that enabled her to be a philanthropist. And she had noted that that is what she really enjoyed most about being a member of a collective giving circle. And so I think anyone who's a member of a collective giving group, it really allows you to learn more, again, as we talked about the needs of the community, about those agencies that are working so hard to address these needs. It also gives you insights to enable members to give back in other ways. So part of it may be volunteering your time at agencies that you learn about that maybe you didn't know about before, or just giving a voice to some of these agencies and sharing their stories with friends and family. So I think it's just the fact that it opens our eyes to what is going on in our surrounding areas and learning about people who are really trying to make a difference and agencies that are really trying to make a difference. And then it gives us an opportunity to give a voice to those agencies and support in whatever way we can. Now I'll pass it on to Marsi. I think Marsi's next.
So thank you, Angelle. This is a really great question because, and to address it more fully, I really have to talk about our grants process from 2010 until the pandemic hit. We would do the voting on our awards to grantees in person. And I want you to know that very often we had to provide Kleenex because people were just weeping at the stories that were told by the potential grantee candidates about what they did and what kind of an impact it had, and how the gift or the giving from Seeds of Strength was going to make a huge difference to lives of people in Georgetown. It's very, very moving. We had to restrain that in-person voting during the pandemic, and we did it by videos, but the impact is still there. And when you hear from not only the grantee organization, but the people who are being impacted through that opportunity from the grantee organization, you really have to take a deep breath and swallow hard. So as a result of that, a lot of our members become in love with the organizations and volunteer to serve on the board, volunteer to serve in some capacity that the organization really needs. In one case, I think we even have now a paid employee for one of the organizations, but it is just an overwhelming experience to learn about what is going on in the community and how you can benefit. Actually, one more thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Nicole. We have a member who was actually awarded the Excellence in Service Award for a lifetime last fall, in early fall. And she's a member of Seeds of Strength, but she has done such an outstanding job with them that they made her the awardee of the year for her service. That's the kind of thing that really makes an impact and a difference in the community. So Nicole, it's all you.
I'm loving all these stories, and I'm finding similar themes that, we really talk about sort of the Impact Austin ripple effect, which I think is what both of these ladies have talked about, sort of as through their membership of these of Impact Austin and other collective giving circles, learning about needs in their community, learning about, there's so many nonprofits. I think Marsi was mentioning, in Georgetown may be smaller than Austin, but still has so many nonprofits that are filling community needs. It's the same here when we're thinking about all of the, it would take so long to learn about all these 8,000 to 10,000 nonprofits in the Central Texas area doing good. But through your membership with Impact Austin and a collective giving circle, maybe you have a specific interest in education. So you serve on an education GRC, learn about some of these nonprofits that are doing work in that area where you're already passionate, and sort of making that connection for you about an organization where you can continue to serve in a board role, like Marsi said, or maybe volunteering, or, just spreading the word. I think Angelle was talking about, sharing stories on social media can be really, really powerful, especially for some of these nonprofits that maybe folks haven't heard of before. So I think really amplifying that story and sort of the idea of collective in that way, I think is really powerful. I think the one thing that I'll just, I don't want to re-hit on a lot of the things that have been touched on for this question, but one of the things I'll just circle back to as we are thinking about what's next is about the word philanthropy and sort of thinking of yourself as a philanthropist. I think that that's one of the amazing things about collective giving is it allows people to see themselves for the generous people that they already are. Maybe they weren't using that term philanthropist for themselves, but being a part of an organization like this, maybe they realized through going to an educational event or just being a part of a grant review committee, like, hey, I'm already a philanthropist. I didn't realize that. That's amazing. Some of the things that you're already doing, what we're doing here today is philanthropy, just trying to break that mold about thinking about a philanthropist as someone who is wealthy, who has their name on a building. We know that so much of what people do as humans every single day, being generous to each other, is philanthropy, and sort of just helping spread that word too, I think is also something that happens so in every single collective giving, at every meeting that I'm in, or, we're thinking about that. How can we be generous with our time, with our treasure, with sharing stories, testimony, all of those things. So I think that that's the other part that really is above and beyond sort of the giving of your time and treasure to a giving circle. You're giving back into the community in other ways.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, ladies. It's really good to hear that. Like you said, the stories and just the sense of community that's built is so important in these collective giving circles. So I have the next question for you. Do you have a special impact story to share of the broader reach or impact because you work together? And I'm going to actually kick this one off over to Marsi first.
Thanks, Summer. I appreciate that. So I do have a special impact that I do want to talk about. And when you introduced me, you mentioned my past life as president of a couple of colleges. And most of my background was in education. My career background was in education. So after I was on the grants committee, I decided I wanted to move to the compliance committee. And there's an organization who had applied and who was awarded a grant, and I will name names, is Capital Idea. Capital Idea provides free tuition, books, whatever, for underserved population individuals to go to college to learn a trade or a career that's high paying. And particularly, we funded those individuals who were in Georgetown and who would go to Austin Community College. And one of them is a nurse. And as the compliance liaison, I got to know not just the organization, but also the woman who had such an incredible story. It was heart-wrenching. But she graduated and she got her RN. And she went on from ACC to, I want to say, UTSA, so San Antonio. Congratulations. So the impact was that she helped her board of directors make a determination that Seeds of Strength should get a recognition for what they were able to do to the Georgetown community, because we're not in the Austin tax base, so it takes quite a bit more money. And I might run a little bit over here, but I'm going to try and talk really fast. In August, the board of directors of Capital Idea awarded Seeds of Strength the Whitlow Community Service Award for our excellence in serving the community. And we were so delighted. And the young lady I spoke about who got her nursing degree was there to present it to us. It was absolutely amazing. But then the ripple effect that Nicole talked about was in November, Seeds of Strength was also recognized by Recognize Good. And I think I saw Joel's chat in here earlier. And $1,000 check for us, Seeds of Strength, to give to our favorite charity. So this afternoon, I get to present that check to CareBox in Georgetown, $1,000 for them to do some impactful things in helping cancer survivors. And that's wonderful. And then, just in case that wasn't enough, the Daughters of the American Revolution also recognized us with an Excellence in Service Award at the end, right before Thanksgiving. And the piece de resistance is I get to participate with y'all today. So there's a lot of special impacts that happen through collective giving and philanthropy. Thank you to all of those.
Oh, I love that. And congrats to you guys on those great awards, Marsi. I think when I think about this question and about sort of an impact story and particularly about working together, I think about when the pandemic started and the world was on fire and we were all trying to figure out how to help. I really saw, and it's not surprising, working with all of our wonderful members each day, everyone wanting to come together and say, how can we help? We know that our nonprofit partners are really, really struggling right now, as we all are trying to figure out this new world. And how can we get the funding out to them faster? And also, how can we be thinking about our grant making to get the most money out to the most organizations? So I'm really proud of the work that our members did to pivot very quickly at the beginning of the pandemic to change up a little bit about our grant making so that it was not just the top vote getter organization that received funds, but also that second place vote getter. So making sure that both of our finalists were getting some source of funding during that time when we knew that everybody needed funding, and also removing those restrictions. So, maybe when they had applied for that grant, they were thinking about a particular program or starting something. And now that they were just trying to keep services going for their clients, we removed those restrictions and did not have to go specifically for that program that they had applied to. But just being able to pivot, I think, is a testament to our members. That is them doing the work to, how can we quickly solve this solution and make a bigger impact in our community and help these organizations. But also just a testament to the impact of collective giving, because we are able to pivot and because we aren't sort of some of these structures that can exist in traditional foundations don't allow you to pivot so quickly. That's one of the things that I love about it, about collective giving the most, is we can really see where the needs are in the community. How can we make an impact quickly and get and be able to make that impact right away? So I think that that's sort of was a unique thing. And also in line with that, in addition to the grant making, we also wanted to highlight our community partners. So we say community partners as the word to describe our grantees. So anyone who has received a grant from Impact Austin is sort of in the family from that point on. And we really want to highlight the work that they're doing, not just during their grant period, but from then on out. And so we reached out to our community partners and said, what can we highlight? What do you have going on? And made these together in service videos, is what we called them, to showcase to our members in the community about all the things that these organizations were doing, and sort of saying, if you're looking to help, maybe try one of these organizations. This is what they have going on, and really trying to, as much as we could, we only had so many funds to give out, but we also, again, thinking about the other ways that we can give impact, kind of sharing in that way too, which I really just think talks a lot about working together as a collective. So I really wanted to share that story. And I think I'm passing it off to Angelle next.
You are. So we did have similar situations. I agree with you completely from the perspective of once COVID hit and the pandemic really hit, it was a mad dash to shift focus, I would say, to figuring out how do we help the most. And so we had similar situations. I think we also too have many stories at Impact San Antonio of agencies maybe at Grain Award night meeting other agencies and ending up partnering on projects together, and or finding new funders to help assist with other projects. So we've seen lots of stories like that. And definitely, I think it's a little easier to see impact we're making in our community. So stories like that. But sometimes we also make impact outside of the communities we serve. I'm originally from Louisiana, hence the French name. And some of my family members ended up joining Impact San Antonio in a shared membership. And so between, them word of mouth and me posting on Facebook and LinkedIn and whatever about some of our impact stories, people in my hometown have kind of learned about this collective giving. And so now there's some interest to possibly start a similar type giving circle in the area that I'm from. So it just goes to show the ripple effects each giving circle goes well beyond the communities we live in. And it really does truly inspire me to try to do even more.
I love that. Thanks so much for sharing those stories. I think that Summer may have had some technical difficulties, so I'm just going to step in temporarily and get us to our next question. What are your most successful practices to attract new members to your giving circle or inspiring existing members to renew? And what is your transition from the pandemic and virtual recruiting to gathering in person again? Marsi, let's go ahead and have you kick this off.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So, getting new members still for us is word of mouth. It's people inviting people sharing their stories about Seeds of Strength. And actually, one of the things that we're going to do this week is to have an appreciation, going back to the COVID situation. So many of our members stepped up, stayed with us, contributed above and beyond what they normally would, just to make sure that the community survived and that the impact continued. So we're having an appreciation holiday party on Thursday. And other than that, we do probably what most of year other organizations do. We have something we call info mixers. They are at strategic places in the town. Used to be at people's homes, but again, with COVID, we got away from that. And so it is at meeting places, for example, a country club or a new business that's opening that has refreshments, something like that. And then our big event is Wine, Women, Chocolate, and Giving, which is almost always held in February and features all of those things: wine and women who are members and prospective members, and chocolate, lots of chocolate, and an opportunity to give. And that's usually right before our deadline for when the grant money is actually tallied and we're able to step into that grant giving piece. You had said something about the difference between the pandemic. One of the things we did this last fall is to send out a member survey. We hadn't done that in a while. And I think 85 to 90% of our members said, we want to get back face to face. So we're trying to do that. And we want more communication. So be careful what you wish for, because they are getting more face-to-face opportunities. I think we have 6 or 7 info mixers this year, and a lot more communication, which is a great opportunity. Again, thank you for this. In order to communicate with people, and hopefully we're recording this, we'll put it on our Facebook and our website and let people find out what's going on in and around the community. So that's what Seeds of Strength is up to. So who's next, Nicole?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about Impact Austin. I know that, just like Marsi mentioned, that the peer-to-peer ask and members talking about Impact Austin is the best recruiting tool that we have, and that still rang true during the pandemic and all across our 20 years. So we do have in-person events that we have been going back to hosting membership info sessions in people's homes, and also in some places in the community, where we have a member that's hosting, inviting her friends from the neighborhood, her colleagues, as well as asking other Impact Austin members to invite a friend. So that has been our most successful way to reach new members and ask maybe former members from that knew about Impact Austin or joined in 2004 or 2005 to see what we're doing now and how we've changed, and maybe get some members to get re-engaged in that way, which has been super exciting. I think one of the other things that I'll highlight is that we learned a lot during the pandemic about kind of the flexibility of having events like this, having virtual events, and trying to keep that top of mind that, even during that time when we weren't able to be in person, that we were still able to recruit new members and get the word out about Impact Austin and what we were doing in the community. And so making sure that we're still keeping some of that flexibility, that having some virtual events, if that's the way that people are able to to learn about us, we want to make sure that we have that option, because, thinking about traffic and all the other things that we used to think about all the time, now it's just one more thing that if they can log online and learn about it that way, that we want to make sure that we have that available to folks. So I think that's been something important that we've learned about recruiting and having some flexibility. So I don't know if Angelle, if you want to talk a little bit about some of your strategies.
Sure. With Impact San Antonio, while going completely virtual was definitely hard, I think we did have some positive takeaways, as you mentioned, from the pandemic, which also were some items that were very much linked to our recruiting practices. So many of our large events we had to cancel over those 2 years just due to COVID spikes. So we had to get creative. We actually ended up last year having, I say last year, it's 2022, having a large happy hour in a location that had a patio area. And this one was near the end of our recruiting period, and we actually had great success in adding new members. And it was new folks that, lots of new members and new people who hadn't experienced Impact San Antonio and learned about us yet. And so it really just kind of opened our eyes that there's more than one way to do this. And so it doesn't have to be just a large recruiting event. Maybe some of these happy hours or mixers are a better approach at reaching people, because it gives us an opportunity to kind of meet them where they are. It also, taking into account that we're an all volunteer organization, we're really trying to look at our approach to make sure that our approach is still manageable, because we're always, obviously we want to achieve that 500 plus membership, but hopefully in the future we can even have more than that. So it's a goal to continue to grow, and so finding ways to make things more manageable is very important. I think another change we ended up making was we shifted from having our new member orientation as an in-person event and just one of those to having multiple virtual events. We actually we realized, hey, we actually have more participation by having this be a virtual event. And I think really it made the access easier for this type of event. And it being virtual allowed women to join the call regardless of the situation they were in, whether they were at the office or home with their kids or traveling, whatever it may have been, they were still able to participate. And then some additional practices that we've found that work well from a recruiting perspective. Obviously, similar situation to the rest of you for finding new members. Having existing members bring guests with them to our events is really the big seller there, and that's how we really find most of our new members. And then from a renewal perspective, as a board, we actually make phone calls to prior members who haven't renewed yet right before the renewal deadline, just, to give them an opportunity to consider. And some of it may be, frequently we get, oh, thank you for the reminder. I almost missed the deadline. So it's just kind of giving that little friendly nudge to hope that they want to join us again. And also just give them an opportunity to share with us any stories that they have as well, which then also helps us kind of figure out, okay, how do we shift in the future, so that we are being as responsive to our membership as possible.
Okay, I think we have.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. Thanks for the understanding. I have lots. Oh, we've got one more question, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and kick that one off for us. So I know we're rounding out into December this week. So as we head into the final month of this year, as you look ahead, ladies, into 2023, what are some key organizational goals that you have and just plans that you're looking as you move forward into the new year? And I'm going to start off this one with Marsi. So Marsi, go ahead and share with us kind of some 2023 key things that are on your mind for the organization and their goals.
Thanks, Summer. Good to have you back. Well, this last year, so 21-22, as we went into our teenage years as Seeds of Strength, we did an organic structure change. And so now we have a board of directors who does our governance. We have our chair council that is our operations entity. And then for the first time ever, we have an advisory board. And I call them our cheerleaders, and they're out there in the community helping us with best business practices and also some recruiting tactics. I neglected to mention that the last time. But our board of directors met in June, and they determined that they would like for us to do two things, two major goals. And the first goal was to get over the $2 million mark, which means raising close to $200,000 this year. But I personally said we're going to raise $230,000 because it's 23 coming up. And so that's our first goal. And in order to do that, we're also going to need to increase our membership to pre-pandemic levels of 300 plus. So those are the two major goals that we have. Other than that, we're following the community survey, the member survey that we sent out into the community. And that was to do more face-to-face, more get-togethers, more personal reaching out, doing the phone calls, as Angelle mentioned, will happen. And those are our major attempts to get into 2023 in good shape.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing with us. We'll pass it over to Angelle. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So for Impact San Antonio, last year, again, we were able to award $550,000 in grants. So our goal is to try to surpass that in 2023. As an organization, we have grown in size relatively quickly. So we continue to relook at the approaches we take to make sure that they're sustainable and also enable us to hopefully grow even larger to a point where we can award more than one $100,000 impact grant in each of our 5 focus areas. So again, I think, we've made it to that goal where we could award that $100,000 grant in each of them. And each year, it's always a fun challenge to try to continue to stay there. But I think in the long-term future, hopefully we can even surpass that.
I love that. That's such a great goal. Good luck with that. That's going to be amazing. I think for Impact Austin for 2023, really just celebrating 20 years and taking a moment to pause and reflect on all that we have done in those 20 years, highlighting member voices that have been a part of our organization, both new and long time, our community partners, really, like I said, just leading up to that June annual meeting celebration. I can't wait to be in the room with everyone there and sort of celebrating that moment of 20 years. And also just all the things that come along with those kinds of celebrations, thinking about we're having a special endowment campaign to really be thinking about our permanence as we're thinking about 20 years and all that we've done. What do we want to do over the next 20 years and how can we sustainably get there? So that's one of the things. And I think that the other goal that I'll highlight is that just continuing to think about how we can be an inclusive organization and thinking about that, building that culture of philanthropy and belonging for our members and community. We've made some strides to so something from as simple as having monthly payments. So that was something that we really struggled with. How can we heard from the community that was maybe a barrier to entry, and how can we remove those barriers? So that was one of the ones that we were able to do. But what are some of those other barriers that maybe people are seeing to joining Impact Austin, and how can we remove that? We really want to be everyone who identifies as a woman in Central Texas to be able to see herself as a member of Impact Austin. So working towards that goal, taking those small steps and making sure everyone feels included and in our work is really important. And I think 2023 and those celebrations are really just going to continue us down on that path. So really excited about all that's to come.
Awesome, ladies. Looks like we have some exciting things happening in 2023 and just some really amazing goals that collectively are going to happen in each of your cities. And so thanks for sharing those. We're rooting for you, and we are super excited to see those things come to fruition. So I'm going to pause here for a moment to see if we have any questions in the chat for any of our panelists. If we have any questions that we'd like to bring forward for everybody else. I know we've got a few minutes before we wrap up our webinar. Okay, I don't think we have any questions in the chat, so I think we're good there. So I think we'll be able to close up. And does anybody have any final thoughts that you want to share before we close out? We've got a few minutes before we wrap up our webinar. With it being Giving Tuesday, anything you'd like to leave our folks with? So I'm just going to open up the floor to anybody on the panel who wants to share something as we close out our Giving Tuesday webinar today. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
I'll start. I think I just strongly encourage women to look into these collective circles. As we mentioned, there's lots of different collective giving circles out there, and there's a right fit for you. I think for me, the biggest takeaway is that it was an opportunity to become more aware of the needs of the community. Again, like I mentioned, I'm originally from Louisiana, so it was super helpful being in a new city to learn about the city and learn about the community and learn about the agencies that are making a difference. And it enables me to be a part of a positive impact on the community in a more substantial way than I could do on my own. So, and as a byproduct, I have met wonderful people from various agencies and as members of Impact San Antonio, and some of which that are going to be lifelong friends. And so that just is a wonderful byproduct of our community. So
I can go next. I know that this is a tough time. I mean, you just turn on the news and there's inflation and there's all kinds of disasters going on everywhere. But my personal philosophy, and I think what Seeds of Strength relies on, is that really gracious giving doesn't come from the pocketbook. It comes from the heart. And all of the things that my colleagues here talked about are really heartfelt kinds of things. And so even though we might all be struggling a little bit with the economy, so are our organizations, and they really, really need our help. The need is great and gets greater all the time. This year, when we sent out our letter of intent, out of the 26 that we got back, 13 of them are brand new. They've never applied to Seeds of Strength before. So you know the need is out there. So I'm imploring our listeners, and if you put this on Facebook, wherever it goes, to please think with your heart, not just with your pocketbook, and participate in whatever philanthropic efforts there are in your community. Thanks.
Yeah, I love that, Marsi. And I think one of the stories that I like to share, and I think Audra, she may be on in the audience, I share the story that she, because it's so visual about how she thinks about collective giving and being a part of Impact Austin, that, you know, she was sort of thinking about, you know, throwing pebbles into a pond, and she would see little tiny splashes and sort of felt like it was maybe haphazard or didn't have, you know, she was just feeling like it was just little impacts that she was making, whether that was time or treasure that she was donating. And when she learned about Impact Austin and kind of thinking about her pebble being combined with 400 other pebbles and like the big boulder and the water that splashed because of the combination of all of the work together, I just really, it's such a visual image, but it's also really so true. Just thinking about, if, as Marsi mentioned, like if we're thinking about how to get involved or in your community, maybe that's here in Central Texas, or as, you know, there's collective giving circles all over the world, as Angelle mentioned, that maybe there's some place that where you can get involved or your kids could get involved in a giving circle. I know there's some next gen giving circles out there as well. Just really encourage you to think about that term philanthropy differently, and that you can make an impact, and maybe collective giving could be a way for you to share that impact with others in your community. And I'll pass it off to you, Summer. Thanks again for hosting us today.
Yeah, thanks, ladies, for sharing. You brought up some really great points to consider. So anybody who might watch the replay, just know that you can make a difference by joining one of these circles or getting involved in your community. It's just amazing to see what our dollars can do when we collectively pull them together, and not to mention the lifelong friendships you can make too. There's so many amazing people that I've met as being a member of Impact Austin, and I'm sure the same is true for all the other giving circles represented here today. So we so appreciate y'all for staying with us for your lunch hour, or possibly watching this, like I said, on the replay. It's amazing just to see all the folks that are on right now with us, and we appreciate each and every one of you. So, and if you're on live, we're going to drop the links one more time so you can check out any of these organizations, follow them on social media. If you're not currently following all three of these organizations, encourage you to consider following them. Get involved in their next opportunity to either become a member or support one of their upcoming events. So thank you so much. Happy Giving Tuesday. Thank you for being part of the goodness that's happening in each of our communities. You make a difference. So thanks, guys.